today, there lives a holy man who is accepted by millions as an avatar of the Lord, a reincarnation of Lord Krishna. His miraculous powers can transform thin air into numberless material objects at will. He has the power to heal the sick, the lame, and the blind, and in all ways demonstrate the supermental powers of the avatar. His omniscience astounds the scientist. His omnipresence is felt all over the world. What you are about to see reveals just a fraction that is the glory of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
దివ్యాత్మ స్వరూపులారా, త్రిగుణమిళితమైనటువంటి ఈ ప్రకృతి యందు ధర్మ క్షీణం,
for the protection of the virtues, for the destruction of evil doers, and for establishing righteousness on a firm footing, I incarnate from age to age. Whenever Ashanti or disharmony overwhelms the world, the Lord will incarnate in human form.
Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, the avatar of the age, is omnipresent. There is no place which he does not occupy and no name which he does not bear. But physically his abode and headquarters are at Prasanthi Nilayam. Prasanthi Nilayam is situated in Penakonda Taluka in Anantapur district of the state of Andhra Pradesh. It lies along the banks of the river Chitravati, which is almost dry except during the rainy seasons. Generally, the climate of Prasanthi Nilayam is dry with a hot summer. There are periodic rains between July and October. Sri Sathya Sai Baba was born on November 23, 1926, on this site in the village of Puddarparthi to middle-class parents. He was born after the customary religious observances and pujas. It was said that tambours and drums sounded of their own in the house when the baby was born. As a boy, he was as precocious as Buddha, whose infinite knowledge surpassed the knowledge of his teachers. At sunrise, in the temple, a puja is performed by the Vedic Pandits, ushering in another day at Prasanthi Nilayam, the abode of the highest peace. Baba chose a site outside the village, and a spacious prayer hall cum residence was constructed. Baba named it Prasanthi Nilayam, the abode of the highest peace, for he, the source, the sustainer, and the sustenance of that peace, had this as his visible abode. From this Nilayam, the message that every man's heart must be transmuted into a Prasanthi Nilayam is radiating in all directions, and the discipline necessary for this alchemy is being taught to all. After darshan, the devotees meet in the prayer hall to sing bhajans, devotional songs, each morning at 11 a.m. and evening at 6 p.m.
गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः
After the morning ceremony, crowds gathered in the auditorium. Baba spoke on the significance of the Vibhuti Abhishekam. This followed the usual pattern on such occasion familiar to the devotees. The silver idol of Shirdi Sai Baba, Sathya Sai Baba's previous incarnation, was bathed and wiped dry. A jeweled necklace was produced by Baba by the wave of his hand and placed on the idol of Shirdi Sai Baba. The wooden vessel in the shape of a flower vase was held upside down overhead. Baba started churning the same with his hand inserted into it, throwing out large quantities of vibhuti, pouring from nowhere, as it were, and covering the idol with exquisite fragrance. When Baba took out his hand from the upturned vase for a short while, lo and behold, the vibhuti stopped flowing down, as though to convince the doubting ones amongst the spectators that the otherwise empty vessel needed the divine hand for it to produce the vibhuti. The flow that seemed capable of being an unending one starts all over again as soon as Baba puts his hand into the vase. It is on such occasions that logic fails us, for in the confusion, not realizing that he who can produce the vibhuti at will out of an empty vessel can also stop it at will. We begin to wonder more when the flow stops than when it resumes. After the Asatoma prayer is sung, Baba gives final darshan from the balcony before lights out at the ashram at 9 p.m. India's President Giri dedicated Sai Baba's Girls' College at Anantapur near Prasanthi Nilayam in July 1971. Devotees from all over India and foreign lands gathered to inaugurate Baba's plan to redefine educational goals and to establish a boys' and girls' college in each of the 18 states in India as the aim of the Sai Educational Trust. Sai Baba says that education without character is useless. Its aim should be to build character and install a sense of morality, to place a student on the path of self-confidence, self-satisfaction, self-sacrifice, and self-realization, to promote the spirit of dedication in all we do through earnestness, humility, sincerity, and reverence, to remove the illusion that happiness consists in accumulating money, knowledge, comforts, or reputation, whereas in truth, happiness is a state of mind which can be cultivated and which is unaffected by fortune, good or bad. Baba said all students should be introduced to meditation and yoga, the joy of inquiry into one's own reality. The end of knowledge is love, the end of commerce is morality, the end of wisdom is freedom, says Baba. Taking leave of the teachers and students to return to his residence Vrindavan, Baba, with a wave of his hand, produces the sacred ash vibhuti, known as the truth of matter, and gives it to the lucky ones as a special grace. Vibhuti in Sanskrit means wealth, and no wonder. It gives all kinds of wealth to one who wears it. The very color of vibhuti, which is white, signifies much. It signifies nothing less than the supreme goal. Just as fire reduces wood to ashes, wisdom destroys all karma. The sacred ash symbolizes the wisdom that remains after all karma is burnt out. Anything put into the fire may turn black for a while, but eventually it has to turn white. So whiteness is the ultimate state. Sai Baba is seen here producing vibhuti by a wave of his hand. He says, a sick person comes to me, I create vibhuti or some other article. He becomes conscious of divine power. He acquires mental peace. That cures, that comforts. It is not as if I give these things only to those devoted to me. I give whenever it is necessary to turn the afflicted toward God. Sai Baba arrives at Vrindavan on the morning of a festival day. The crowds had gathered early to welcome Swami home. When Sai Baba is at his residence, Vrindavan, 15 miles outside of Bangalore, he daily walks among those who gather outside his house morning and afternoon, answering their calls for help, taking their notes, stopping occasionally to give vibhuti by a wave of his hand to those fortunate ones. Sai Baba says, all who come to me in their concrete form have fortunately reached the stage when they are beginning to see the reality. Those who cry for the chance to see me in the concrete form have their prayers answered. To each I give every opportunity for my darshan, for they deserve and receive my love. Since I move with you, eat like you, and talk to you, you are deluded into the belief that this is but a human phenomenon. Be warned against this mistake. I am also deluding you by singing and playing with you and engaging myself in activities with you. But any moment my divinity may be revealed to you. You have to be ready, prepared for that moment. Since divinity is enveloped by humanness, you must endeavor to overcome the Maya, delusion, that hides it from your eyes. This divine phenomenon is bound to grow into a world tree that provides shade and shelter for all humanity. This has come down in this form for that very purpose. It knows no hesitation, no halting. My name is Sathya, truth. My teaching is truth. My path is truth. I am truth. Inside Swami's house, a remarriage ceremony is being performed for Walter and Elsie Cowan of Santa Ana, California. Walter, aged 84, succumbed in Madras. Baba came to the hospital and raised him from the dead. The doctor, who later tested Walter, found his diabetic condition and diseased kidneys cured. As Walter was reborn, Baba said that he would perform a remarriage ceremony.
Baba has been saying, you know what actually happened to your husband in Madras.
I sure do. He died in my arms, I ought to know.
He died in your arms.
That's right.
Well, I have something to say here too, I think. At the time I passed out there, I had a lot of pain, and I was in perfect calm, and Baba was right there. And before the seat of judgment, they outlined all my past existence as a soul. Baba spoke up and said, I want the soul. They said, so be it.
ఈ ఫంక్షన్ చేసే కోసం
He walked you back in order that he may perform this function.
Sai Baba here miraculously produces a beautiful jewel-encrusted pendant for Elsie and matched ruby wedding rings for them both. Baba says this about the power which works these manifestations. He says it is wrong to call them miracles. It is only evidence, not exhibition. It is just like a play, sport, my natural behavior. It is a sign which helps to turn men into faith, devotion, inquiry, and realization of their own Atma. As the intention of the will arises in the mind, the thing is made. It is ready when I want it. The moment it is willed, the thing comes to hand or happens where I will it to happen.
There are so many people in the world. Why should Ravi Shankar alone have this gift? This is God's grace to him.
బరాబర్ సైజ్ కానీ మ్యూజిక్లో వచ్చినంత ఆనందం మరొకరు అంటారు.
The bliss and happiness which comes through music, that does not come through anything else.
తోడాదినే కంప్లీట్ లైఫ్ కంప్లీట్ ఉంటుంది ఈ పదార్థాలు. ఇది ఒక మ్యాజిక్ మాదిరి కాదు.
He tells him that this is not like a transient magic, but these things complete were created, they last for a whole lifetime. Each one to have it round his neck or in his pocket.
ఈ మ్యూజిక్ ద్వారా ఎంతవరకు అయినా కానీ ఇతరుల హృదయాన్ని చాలా ప్రశాంతపరచవచ్చు. భగవంతుడే సంగీత ప్రియుడు.
Through music, you can give a lot of peace and happiness to a large number of people. In fact, God himself, he likes music.
The housewarming ceremony of Hollywood producer Joel Reardon and his wife Diana took place at Vrindavan. Joel was openly skeptical of Sai Baba, and when asked what he would ask Swami for, Joel replied, I don't need anything. I'll ask him for a rainbow, for only a god could make a rainbow. When they arrived at Prasanthi Nilayam, Joel and Diana walked up a hill behind the ashram, where to Joel's surprise, out of the clear sky, a rainbow formed as a pillar straight up in the sky. It lasted almost a minute and then dissolved. The next morning, Baba called them for an interview and asked Joel, how did you like your rainbow? Swami materializes here rings for the ceremony. One evening, Baba invited Indra Devi and other devotees to go with him to a dry riverbed near Vrindavan, where Swami promised to discourse on divine creation and demonstrate his power to transform the sand into beautiful material objects.
Light. This is Manimala. 108, 108.
Oh, look.
Patsalu, Mutyalu, Ratnalu.
Emerald, pearls and diamonds.
See, sir.
How does this come from this riverbed?
Yes. That's Sankalpa.
Has to come the same way the universe was created.
అట్లనే యూనివర్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసే దైవత్వము అనే ఇది మీకు వండర్.
This causes wonder to you, but to me, they are just my nature.
It's a drawing. దాని ద్వారా ఒక విధమైనటువంటి అవకాశాన్ని కూడా
Through such manifestations, it is possible to pass on and to give the feeling for divinity and develop faith in divinity.
This lion eyes.
What is the deepest spiritual significance of these manifestations?
దైవత్వము అనేటువంటిది.
The answer is to say that God's power exceeds every other power in this universe is to create
దానికి
faith in you.
కాలం కానీ ప్లేస్ కానీ అతీతమైనటువంటిది.
God's power exceeds time and place and is not subject to time and place.
Nataraja, Nataraja, Nartana Sundara Nataraja.
Sai Baba said this about his visit to New Delhi. The longing of my people in the Delhi area was so poignant that it took nearly half an hour for me to alight from the plane. And all those 9 days I was there, I shared my Ananda without a moment's respite with the several 100,000 eager devotees. Huge concourses of men, women, and children streamed continuously in the park opposite where I was and sang bhajans night and day, clamoring for darshan, crying out, Sai Baba darshan. I was busy all through the day and most of the night, moving among them, relieving the sick and consoling the distressed. Hundreds of buses flowed from towns and pressed along the roads full of pilgrims from the states all around Delhi. Since Delhi is the seat of the central government and of all the embassies from foreign lands, most of those in charge of government were anxious to receive blessings. Many ambassadors who had learned of the excellence of Indian culture desired to know more of its uniqueness from me.
All volunteers should come near the stage. Nalini Menon or Babli Baba. Nalini Menon. This is Rajan for all in the radio.
Sai Baba said, when I was asked to speak at the All India Sadhu Samaj at Kurukshetra, the battlefield of the Gita, I felt it was not proper to disappoint the thousands who came every day to Delhi for darshan. But finally I left during the hot hours of the day so that the least number would be affected. There I spoke of the essential virtues the sadhu has to cultivate.
ఫ్రీడమ్ అంటున్నాడు. ఈ ఫ్రీడమ్ అంతా కూడా నువ్వు మృగ లక్షణాలే కానీ ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ విజ్డమ్ ఈజ్ ఫ్రీడమ్. ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ కల్చర్ ఈజ్ పర్ఫెక్షన్. ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఈజ్ క్యారెక్టర్. ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఈజ్ లవ్. లవ్ లవ్.
Hundreds of thousands of people from the New Delhi area were able to secure darshan and derive Ananda. Those who felt that God and godly ways have lost their appeal were confounded by the massive response. Some papers described it as a triumph, as my having taken Delhi by storm. But when I go among my own people and share Ananda and allow those to share my Ananda, it is not appropriate to exalt over it or to characterize it as a triumph. It is only a natural manifestation of kinship, a spontaneous outburst of love and reverence. My mission is to raise the consciousness of man to a level at which he neither rejoices nor mourns over anything. You must have not only freedom from fear, but freedom from hope and expectation. Trust in my wisdom, I do not make mistakes. Love my uncertainty, for it is not a mistake, it is my intent and will. Remember, nothing happens without my will. Be still, do not want to understand, do not ask to understand. Relinquish understanding, relinquish the imperative that demands understanding.